This evening at about 6:06 p.m. in the area of Grand and Gravelway, a uniformed sergeant in a marked police car was flagged down by a citizen and advised that there was a robbery in progress at that location just across the street at the Kentucky Fried Chicken. The sergeant immediately responded to the restaurant, looked in the window, and he could see that there was an individual in there armed with a handgun inside the restaurant. The officer made his way to the door of the restaurant where he confronted the suspect. The suspect raised the handgun toward the officer, sergeant. The sergeant ordered him to drop his weapon. He did not. The sergeant fired 2 shots, striking the suspect and killing him. We learned there's a number of witnesses who were inside the restaurant, and let me just point out this act by this sergeant, very courageous because of the number of not only employees but customers who were inside, and the sergeant took all that into consideration while he made his tactical move toward the entrance. The suspect did commit a robbery. He had already completed the robbery and had cash with him from the robbery. So there are a number of witnesses who were inside, not only customers but employees. The investigation, as you know, is being handled by our Force Investigative Unit. So all this information we're still working as we go. There is video from the restaurant, and our officers are down there now retrieving that video. So everything appears at this time to be exactly as we've heard from the witnesses who are cooperating with the investigation.
So can you explain that? So a person just flagged down the sergeant? Is that how that went?
Yeah, in fact, this individual actually called 911 and was reporting the armed robbery in progress, and told the 911 evaluator, hold on, there's a marked car right here, right now. And so we have that information. So we're still, like I said, the investigation's still ongoing, but at this time it appears everything is just as I said.
Do you plan to release that video?
When we get that video, that's really a question for the circuit attorney to have them have an opportunity to view it. But after that, if there's no other legal concerns, I don't know why we want to release it.
And we've heard that is it a sergeant, you said?
It's a sergeant. He's 13-year sergeant on the department and 42 years of age.
Yeah, we heard he was in the area because of the march that was going on there previously. Can you confirm that?
Well, I can tell you that there was some sort of a march going on in that area, and so he would be in that area. I mean, cars always kind of monitor those type of marches for traffic concerns and so forth. So he was just in the area.
Can you also give us some information? There was a fatal shooting this afternoon in regard to a 14-year-old. Can you tell us anything about that?
I can tell you that it is still an active investigation, and we do have some pretty good leads that we're following up on right now.
Can you tell us, you don't have anyone in custody in that shooting?
Not in that shooting, not yet.
Do you have the identity of the suspect that was shot?
We have a tentative ID on him, but we'll know more when we get his fingerprints back, hopefully tomorrow, and we'll be able to release that information.
Age around?
He appears to be in his 50s.
It's always a tragedy when someone loses their life, but especially a young person.
In regards to the 14, absolutely, it's a tragic incident that, again, as we get more information, as that investigation goes, then we'll know more.
With the armed robbery, was this something, have you guys been looking, have there been armed robberies like that in the area? Does this guy match a description of similar armed robberies?
That's something that we'll look at, especially when we get him fully identified and to see if he has a past criminal history, to look at him for that. But anytime there is an incident, we always go back and see if that person would match any other descriptions of a robber. I did say that he was armed, and we recovered a gun there with the suspect.
Were officers wearing body cameras?
The sergeant did not have a body camera on.
You have about, how many do you know? We were just talking about that before. There are about 60 in the pilot program.
We have a pilot project going on now. It's a 90-day project. We're in phase 2. And there's just under 30 cameras that are spread out throughout the city, only on sergeants.
So
What would you say to the folks who just happened to be gathered outside there, who were already making the case that there could have been a resolution to this, that, you know, this is a man who was acting out of financial dire straits and he didn't need to be shot?
Well, first off, I would say that I would commend the citizens who got involved, who flagged down the officers and told them that there was a robbery in progress and he called 911. So that's really the message I sent, is to get involved. And clearly, that individual who got involved, because if he didn't, we don't know what would happen. So, hey, everybody's equal. You know, they can look and do their own protest if that's what they think that they need to do. But in this particular case, I think it's pretty clear, and there's a number of witnesses to this incident, and I think they're all going to say the same thing, that the individual was in there with a handgun for whatever reason. You know, nobody made him do that. Those are choices, poor choices with bad consequences. When you determine that you're going to take on criminal activity, you assume the risks that come along with that.
And he pointed the gun at the officer?
Yes.
Sorry, one last question, just going back to the 14-year-old that was shot and killed. Do you guys know any circumstances of what happened inside that house? Was this another family member? Is this looking at possibly an accidental situation?
You know, everything's on the table as far as the investigation. We know that they're young people. The victim is 14 years old. We know that there's some other younger people involved. So what younger people do, you know, I don't want to say. We'll let the investigation tell us.